So we've made it to episode 4. I'm so happy with the response that I'm getting from these videos. Also the fact that I'm getting so many consistent viewers, consistent comments, and people messaging, telling me that they are really enjoying it. So I'm so thankful for all of you that are supporting me, and all of you that are taking time to give me tips or tell me what you enjoyed, what you want to hear more of, what you don't want to hear more of. As I remember rightly, I finished off with going to college. So I passed my GCSEs, well, passed them well enough to get into college. And then I decided that I wanted to go to Morton Moral to study horse care level 2. So I went, everything was all good. And then, as I said before, I got 28 days notice got put on me. And I guess it kind of sent me over the edge a little bit, because this placement was 6 years. So it was the only real place where I felt like I was wanted, I guess. And then all of a sudden they were putting 28 days notice on me. So I started acting out, I think. I wasn't turning up to lectures. I was going out and hanging out with the wrong sort of people. Out all night, sleeping all day, you know the drill. Taking a lot of drugs, drinking quite a bit, just doing stupid things, also getting in trouble with the police. Yeah, and then I guess one day I just realised that I needed to pull myself together. So I applied for a job, an apprenticeship actually, at a horse yard in Avondasset. Luckily I got the job, so I went there. I still had a few stages where I was sort of like messing my life up a little bit, but I very quickly pulled back into place. And I guess that job kind of saved me. It changed me as a person. It made me realise that I had responsibilities, and that if I didn't turn up for work, or if I was late, or if I wasn't sober, it makes a huge impact on everybody else. Also, the horses are depending on me. People are depending on me to turn up and do my job. The things don't run if everybody doesn't do their job. But I completed it there, and I would say that was probably the longest commitment that I ever made in my life. And I was very proud of myself for doing that, and I'm also very thankful for them for putting up with me, because I wasn't easy, and yeah, it was a very good thing for me to do. Anyway, from there I continued to stay into horses. I've had many hunting jobs and stuff like that. But then one day I decided that I wanted to venture a little bit further, and I got my first job abroad in Spain at Gran du Soto. I had so much fun there for the few months that I was there. Honestly, I started to kind of enjoy life again, and everybody there was so supportive, and whenever I was having issues, they were just there. They were also very, very good at introducing you into the Spanish way of life. I learned a lot of things there. I didn't learn much Spanish though. But yeah, I had a great time. But from there I travelled to a fair few different countries. But then shortly in between a job I had in Germany, and a job I'm going before I went to Austria, I went back home for I think about 15 days, where I saw my mum and my new sister Harlow. She is adorable. Oh my god, I miss her dearly. Also saw my little sidekick Keegan. He is double trouble. Went home and saw them for a little bit, and then I flew off to Austria. I worked there for a few months before I then went to Germany. And literally about a week before I flew to Germany, it was where my mum took her first overdose. Obviously the children were taken by social services, and I was having a lot of trouble trying to communicate with them for her, because obviously you can't communicate for somebody without their permission. Anyway, I was fighting to get the kids back with my mother. Also trying to support her, because she was just not in the right mindset at all. So I had all this going on in my head whilst I was trying to start a new job. Anyway, I stuck with the job, and still tried to continually support her as best as I could. But it just wasn't enough, unfortunately. And on the 6th of October, I had a call from the housing the housing association that owned our house, saying, can you please come and remove the items from the property? So me obviously stood there like, but my mum still lives there. Is when I got the news saying that my mum had killed herself two weeks prior. Obviously I was a bit in shock. Well, very much so in shock, very much upset. I had to take the rest of the day off work because I just needed time for myself. I kept trying to work through it, but I just couldn't eat anything. I wasn't sleeping. I was also trying to organise the funeral from Germany. And it was just horrible, to say the least. So I flew back to the UK. Had a lot of problems trying to organise a funeral. In the end, I started a GoFundMe, which I want to thank everybody again for the support, because I wouldn't have been able to pay for the funeral without your help. I had the funeral, tried to go for custody of my brother and sister. Well, that didn't go well, did it? They decided to not give me custody because they were concerned about something I said on the phone, which I'm 110% sure that they were concerned about was the fact that I said I wanted to get counselling because I'd just lost my mother, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. But I'm 110% certain that social services had already decided that they wanted those kids adopted from the minute that they picked them up. So now they've been adopted and I have absolutely no contact with them, which absolutely tears me apart. But what can you do apart from keep fighting? Yeah, so I then came back to the UK. I was living in the UK for a few short weeks, and it's where I started my job at a nightclub in Telford. Got really close with a few really great friends. They really supported me through everything, and I cannot thank them enough for that. But yeah, I was just trying to get on with my life, but obviously it was eating me up inside that I felt like I'd never done enough for my mother. Sometimes I blame myself. Well, most of the time I blame myself. I always tell myself that I should have flown back instead of continuing with my life, but what can you do? You just have to move on with it. So yeah, I think this is an actual stopping point for this episode, and I hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next week.